Kojiki, Section 81, Emperor KEI-KO, Part VIII YAMATO-TAKE'S slays the IDZUMO Bravo. Forthwith entering the land of IDZUMO, and wishing to slay the IDZUMO Bravo, he on arriving, forthwith bound himself to him in friendship. So, having secretly made the wood of an oak trees into a false sword and augustly girded it, he went with the Bravo to bathe the river high. Then, his augustness Yamato-Take getting out of the river first, and taking and girding on the sword that the IDZUMO Bravo had taken off and laid down, said, "Let us exchange swords." So afterwards the IDZUMO Bravo, getting out of the river, girded on his augustness Yamato-Take's false sword. Hereupon his augustness Yamato-Take suggested, saying, "Come on, let us cross swords." Then on drawing his sword, the IDZUMO Bravo could not draw the false sword. Forthwith his augustness Yamato-Take drew his sword, and slew the IDZUMO Bravo. Then he sang augustly, saying, "Alas that the sword girded on the IDZUMO Bravo, and wound round with many a creeper, should have had no true blade." So having thus extirpated the Bravos and made the land orderly, he went up to the capital, and made his report to the heavenly sovereign. Kojiki, Section 82, Emperor KEI-KO, Part VIII YAMATO-Take is sent to subdue the east, and visits his aunt ATES. Then the heavenly sovereign again urged a command on his augustness Yamato-Take, saying, "Subdue and pacify the savage deities, and likewise the unsubmissive people of the 12 roads of the east." And when he sent him off, joining to him Prince Maisuke Tomo Mimi-Take, ancestor of the grandees of Kibai, he bestowed on him a Hollywood spear 8 fathoms long. For after sending me to smite the wicked people of the west, I am no sooner come up again to the capital than, without bestowing on me an army, he now sends me off afresh to pacify the wicked people of the 12 circuits of the east. Consequently, I think that he certainly thinks I shall die quickly. When he departed with lamentations and tears, her augustness Yamato-Hime bestowed on him the herb-quelling saber, and likewise bestowed on him an august bag, and said, "If there should be an emergency, open the mouth of the bag." Kojiki, Section 83, Emperor KEI-KO, Part VIII YAMATO-Take slays the rulers of SAGAMU. So reaching the land of Wohari, he went into the house of Princess MIYAZU, ancestress of the rulers of Wohari, and forthwith thought to wed her. But thinking again that he would wed her when he should return up toward the capital, and having plighted his troth, he went on into the eastern lands, and subdued and pacified all the savage deities and unsubmissive people of the mountains and rivers. So then, when he reached the land of SAGAMU, the ruler of the land lied, saying, "In the middle of this moor is a great lagoon, and the deity that dwells in the middle of the lagoon is a very violent deity." Hereupon Yamato-Take entered the moor to see the deity. Then the ruler of the land set fire to the moor. So, knowing that he had been deceived, he opened the mouth of the bag which his aunt, her augustness Yamato-Hime, had bestowed on him, and saw that inside of it there was a fire striker. Hereupon he first mowed away the herbage with his august sword, took the fire striker and struck out fire, and, kindling a counterfire, burnt the herbage and drove back the other fire, and returned forth, and killed and destroyed all the rulers of that land, and forthwith set fire to and burnt them. So that place is now called Yakizu. Kojiki, Section 84, Emperor KEI-KO, Part IX YAMATO-Take's Empress stills the waves. When he thence penetrated on, and crossed the sea of Hashiri-Midzu, the deity of that crossing raised the waves, tossing the ship so that it could not proceed across. Then Yamato-Take's Empress, whose name was Her Augustness Princess Odo Takebana, said, "I will enter the sea instead of the august child. The august child must complete the service on which he has been sent and take back a report to the heavenly sovereign." When she was about to enter the sea, she spread 8 thicknesses of sedge rugs, 8 thicknesses of skin rugs, and 8 thicknesses of silk rugs on the top of the waves, and sat down on the top of them. Thereupon the violent waves at once went down, and the august ship was able to proceed. Then the Empress sang, saying, "Ah, thou whom I inquired of, standing in the midst of the flames of the fire burning on the little moor of Sagamu, where the true peak pierces." So 7 days afterwards, the Empress's august comb drifted onto the sea beach, which comb was forthwith taken and placed in an august mausoleum which was made. Kojiki, Section 85, Emperor KEI-KO, Part X. YAMATO slays the deity of the ASHIGARA pass. When, having thence penetrated on and subdued all the savage Yamishi and likewise pacified all the savage deities of the mountains and rivers, he was returning up to the capital. He, on reaching the foot of the Ashigara Pass, was eating his august provisions, when the deity of the pass, transformed into a white deer, came and stood before him. Then forthwith, on his waiting and striking the deer with a scrap of wild chive, the deer was hit in the eye and struck dead. So mounting to the top of the pass, he sighed 3 times and spoke, saying, "IZUMO-HA-YE." So that land is called by the name of IDZUMO. Kojiki, Section 86, Emperor KEI-KO, Part XI. YAMATO dwells in the palace of SAKAWORI. When, forthwith crossing over from that land out into Kaha-Ye, he dwelt in the palace of Sakawori, he sang, saying, "How many nights have I slept since passing Nayabari and Tsukuha?" Then the old man, who was the lighter of the august fire, completed the august song, and sang, saying, "Oh, having put the days in a row, there are of nights 9 nights, and of days 10 days. Therefore Yamato-Take praised the old man, and forthwith bestowed on him the rulership of the eastern lands. Kojiki, Section 87, Emperor KEI-KO, Part XI. Yamato-Take woos Princess MIYAZU. Having crossed over from that land into the land of Shinano, and subdued the deity of the Shinano Pass, he came back to the land of Wohari, and went to dwell in the house of Princess MIYAZU, to whom he had before plighted his troth. Hereupon, when presenting to him the great august food, Princess MIYAZU lifted up a great liquor cup and presented it to him. Tunk Harry MIYAZU, Veli Ori adhiserunt menstrua. Quer Augustus Yamato-Take Ilia menstrua vidit, et August cessinit, Dysons. Ego volui reclinaire caput in fragili, molli braculo chuo, quod est simili valo impingenti acuti falsi in monti cagu in silo formato quasi cucurbita, ego desideravi dormire tecum. Sed in oravelli quad, induis luna surrexit. Tunk Harry MIYAZU Augusto cantui respondit, Dysons. Alt resplendentes solis august pure. Placide administrationum faciens, me magni domine. Renovatis annis venientibus et effluentibus, renovati luni unt veniendo patienter expecto, luna suept surgit in oravelli quad ego in duo. Quer tun ille coivit cum illa, after which, placing in Princess MIYAZU's house his august sword, the grass-quelling saber, he went forth to take the deity of Mount Ibuki. Kojiki, Section 88, Emperor KEI-KO, Part XII. Yamato-Take meets the deity of Mount Ibuki. Hereupon he said, "As for the deity of this mountain, I will simply take him empty-handed," and was ascending the mountain, when there met him on the mountainside a white boar whose size was like unto that of a bull. Then he lifted up words and said, "This creature that is transformed into a white boar must be a messenger from the deity. Though I slay it not now, I will slay it when I return," and so saying, ascended. Thereupon the deity caused heavy ice rain to fall, striking and perplexing his augustness Yamato-Take. This creature transformed into a white boar was not a messenger from the deity, but the very deity in person. Owing to the lifting up of words, he appeared and misled Yamato-Take. So when, on descending back, he reached the fresh spring of Tamakuro-bi and rested there, his august heart awoke somewhat. So that fresh spring is called by the name of the fresh spring of Y-SAME. Kojiki, Section 89, Emperor KEI-KO Part XIV. The death of Yamato-Take. When he departed thence and reached the moor of Tagi, he said, "Whereas my heart always felt like flying through the sky, my legs are now unable to walk. They have become rudder-shaped, so that place was called by the name of Tagi. Owing to his being very weary with progressing a little further beyond that place, he leant upon an august staff to walk a little. So that place is called by the name of the Tsuwatsuki Pass. On arriving at the single pine tree on Cape Watsu, an august sword, which he had forgotten at that place before when augustly eating, was still there not lost. Then he augustly sang, saying, "O mine elder brother, the single pine tree that art on Cape Watsu which directly faces Mohari. If thou, single pine tree, wert a person, I would gird my sword upon thee, I would clothe thee with my garments, O mine elder brother, the single pine tree." When he departed thence and reached the village of Myth, he again said, "My legs are like threefold crooks and very weary." So that place was called by the name of Myth. When he departed thence and reached the moor of Nob, he, regretting his native land, sang, saying, "As for Yamato, the most secluded of lands, Yamato, retired behind Mount Awagaki, encompassing it with its folds, is delightful." Again he sang, saying, "Let those whose life may be complete stick in their hair as a headdress the leaves of the bare oak from Mount Heguri, those children." This song is a land-regretting song. Again he sang, saying, "How sweet! Ah, from the direction of home clouds are rising and coming." This is an incomplete song. At this time, his august sickness was very urgent. Then he sang augustly, saying, "The saber sword which I placed at the maiden's bedside, alas, that sword." As soon as he had finished singing, he died. Then a courier was dispatched to the heavenly sovereign. Kojiki, Section 90, Emperor KEI-KO, Part XV. Yamato-Take turns into a white bird. Thereupon the dead prince, turning into a white dotterel 8 fathoms long, and soaring up to heaven, flew off towards the shore. Then the empress and likewise the august children, though they tore their feet treading on the stubble of the bamboo grass, forgot the pain and pursued him with lamentations. At that time they sang, saying, "Our loins are impeded in the plain overgrown with short bamboo grass. We are not going through the sky, but oh, we are on foot." Again when they entered the salt sea, and suffered as they went, they sang, saying, "As we go through the sea, our loins are impeded tottering in the sea like herbs growing in a great riverbed." Again when the bird flew and perched on the seaside, they sang, saying, "The dotterel of the beach goes not on the beach, but follows the seaside." These 4 songs were all sung at Yamato-Take's august interment. So to the present day, these songs are sung at the great interment of a heavenly sovereign. So the bird flew off from that country and stopped at Shiki in the land of Kafuchi. So they made an august mausoleum there and laid Yamato-Take to rest. That august mausoleum was called by the name of the August Mausoleum of the White Bird. Nevertheless, the bird soared up thence to heaven again and flew away. Kojiki, Section 91, Emperor KEI-KO, Part XVI YAMATO-TAKE'S butler. During all the time that this prince, his augustness Yamato-Take, went about pacifying countries, Nanatsuka Hagi, *1A ancestor of the suzerains of Kuna, 2A always followed and respectfully served him as butler. Kojiki, Section 92, Emperor KEI-KO, Part XVI YAMATO-Take's descendants. This prince, his augustness Yamato-Take, wedded her augustness Princess Fudeji-no-Iri, 1B daughter of the heavenly sovereign Ikkyu, and begot an august child. His augustness Tarashi Nakatsuhiko 2B, 1 deity. Again, wedding her augustness Princess Odo Takebana, who afterwards entered the sea, he begot an august child. King Wakatake, 1 deity. Again, wedding Princess Futeji, daughter of OHO-SAZAKI, ancestor of the rulers of the land of Yasu in Chikatsu-Afumi, he begot an august child. King Ini-Yori-Wake, 1 deity. Again, wedding Princess Oho-Kibitake, younger sister of Take-Hiko, ancestor of the grandees of Kiki, he begot an august child. King Take-Kahiko, 1 deity. Again, wedding Princess Kyukumamori of Yamashiro, he begot an august child. King Ashikagami-Wake, 1 deity. A child by another wife was King Akinagata-Wake. Altogether, the entire number of the august children of his augustness Yamato-Take was 6 deities. So his augustness, Tarashi Nakatsuhiko, was he who afterwards ruled the empire. The next, King Ini-Yori-Wake, was the ancestor of the Dukes of Inukami and of the Dukes of Take. The next, King Take-Kahiko, was the ancestor of the Dukes of Aya in Sanugi, the Dukes of Wake in Iyo, the Lords of Towo, the headmen of Masa, and the Lords of Miyagi. King Ashikagami-Wake was the ancestor of the Lords of Kamakura, the Dukes of Wadzu, the Lords of Ihashiro, and the Lords of Fukita. The child of the next, King Akinagata-Wake, was King Kyuhei-Matanaga-Hiko. This king's children were her augustness Princess Ihinu-Maguro, next Akinagama-Wakanakatsu-Haim, next Odo-Haim, 3 deities. So the above-mentioned King Wakatake wedded Princess Ihinu-Maguro and begot King Sumiro Oho-Nakatsuhiko. This king wedded Princess Shibanu, daughter of Shibanu Irikai of Afumi, and begot a child, her augustness Princess Kaguro. So the heavenly sovereign Oho-Tarashi-Hiko wedded this lady her augustness Princess Kaguro, and begot King Oho-Yi, 1 deity. This king wedded his younger half-sister Queen Shiro-Kane, and begot children, King Oho-Nagata, and next her augustness Oho-Nakatsuhaim, 2 deities. So this lady her augustness Oho-Nakatsuhaim was the august mother of King Kagasaka and King Ashikuma. His age and place of burial. This heavenly sovereign's august years were 137, and his august mausoleum is above the Yamano Road. 1A. Kojiki, Section 94, Emperor SEI-MU. The heavenly sovereign Wadadarashi Hiko dwelt at the palace of Takayanaho at Shiga *, 1B in Chikatsu-Afumi, and ruled the empire. This heavenly sovereign wedded the lady Oho-Takara, daughter of Taikashi Yamatarini, ancestor of the grandees of Hatsumi, and begot an august child, King Watanuk, 1 deity. So the heavenly sovereign raised the noble Taikachi to the office of Prince Minister, deigned to settle the rulers of the great countries and small countries, and likewise deigned to settle the boundaries of the various countries, as also the department lords of the great departments and small departments. The heavenly sovereign's august years were 95, and his august mausoleum is at Tatanami near Saki. Kojiki, Section 95, Emperor CHIU-AI, Part I, Genealogies. The heavenly sovereign Terashi Nakatsu Hiko dwelt at the palace of Toyora at Anado, and likewise at the palace of Kashihi in Tsukushi, and ruled the empire. This heavenly sovereign wedded her augustness Oho Nakatsu Haim, daughter of King Ohoyi, and begot august children, King Kagasaka and King Ashikuma, 2 deities. Again, he wedded her augustness princess, Amaterasu. This empress gave birth to august children, his augustness Hamu-Ya-Wake, and next his augustness Oho-Toma-Wake, another name for whom was his augustness Hamuda-Wake. The reason why this heir apparent was given the august name of his augustness Oho-Toma-Wake was that when first born, he had on his august arm a protuberance of flesh resembling an elbow pad, whence the august name bestowed on him. By this, it was known, while he was in the womb, that he would rule countries. In this august reign, the granaries of Ahaji were established. Kojiki, Section 96, Emperor CHIU-AI, Part II, the possession of Korea divinely promised. This empress, her augustness Princess Amaterasu, was at that time divinely possessed. So when the heavenly sovereign, dwelling at the palace of Kashihi in Tsukushi, was about to smite the land of Kumaso, the heavenly sovereign played on his august lute, and the prime, the noble Taisha, being in the pure court, requested the divine orders. Hereupon the empress, divinely possessed, charged him with this instruction and counsel. There is a land to the westward, and in that land is abundance of various treasures dazzling to the eye, from gold and silver downwards. I will now bestow this land upon thee. Then the heavenly sovereign replied, saying, If one ascend to a high place and look westward, no country is to be seen. There is only the great sea. And saying, They are lying deities, he pushed away his august lute, did not play on it, and sat silent. Then the deities were very angry, and said, Altogether, as for this empire, it is not a land over which thou oughtest to rule. Do thou go to the one road. Hereupon the prince minister, the noble Taisha, said, I am filled with awe, my heavenly sovereign. Continue playing thy great august lute. Then he slowly drew his august lute to him, and languidly played on it. So almost immediately the sound of the august lute became inaudible. On their forthwith lifting a light and looking, the heavenly sovereign was dead. Preparations for the conquest of Korea. The noble Takeuchi again stood in the pure court and requested the deity's commands, that thou mayest cross over. So when she punctually fulfilled these instructions, equipped an army, marshaled her vessels, and crossed over, the fishes of the seaplain, both great and small, all bore the august vessels across their backs, and a strong favorable wind arose, and the august vessel followed the billows. Kojiki, Section 98, Emperor CHIU-AI, Part IV, the Empress JIN-GO conquers Korea. So the wave of the august vessel pushed up onto the land of Shiragi, reaching to the middle of the country. So therefore the land of was constituted the feeder of the august horses, and the land of Kudara was constituted the crossing store. Then the empress stuck her august staff on the gate of the chieftain of Shiragi, And having made the rough august spirits of the great deities of the inlet of Sumi the guardian deities of the land, she laid them to rest and crossed back. So while this business was yet unconcluded, the child with which she was pregnant was about to be born. Forthwith, in order to restrain her august womb, she took a stone and wound it round the waist of her august skirt, and the august child was born after she had crossed back to the land of Tsukushi. So the name by which the place was called, where the august child was born, was Yumi. Again, the stone which she wound round her august skirt is at the village of Ito in the land of Tsukushi. Kojiki, Section 99, Emperor CHIU-AI, Part VIII Empress JIN-GO fishes in TSUKUSHI. So down to the present time, it is an uninterrupted custom for women in the first decade of the fourth moon to pick out threads from their skirts, use grains as bait, and hook trout. Kojiki, Section 100, Emperor CHIU-AI, Part VIII Empress JIN-GO subdues YAMATO. Hereupon, when her augustness Princess Amaterasu was returning up to Yamato, she, owing to doubts concerning the disposition of the people, prepared a mourning vessel, set the august child in that mourning vessel, and let a report ooze out that the august child was already dead. While she went up thus, King Kagesaka and King Ashikuma, having heard of the circumstance, thought to waylay her, went forth to the moor of Toga, and hunted for an omen. Then King Kagesaka climbed up an oak tree, and then a large and angry boar came forth, dug up the oak tree, and forthwith devoured King Kagesaka. His younger brother, King Ashikuma, undaunted by this circumstance, raised an army and lay in wait for the Empress, to close with the mourning vessel as being an empty vessel. Then an army was landed from the mourning vessel, and joined in combat with the opposing forces. At this time, King Ashikuma made the noble Asahi, ancestor of the Kishi clan of Naniha, his generalissimo, and on the august side of the heir apparent his augustness Naniha-Niko take Furukuma, ancestor of the grandees of Wani, was made generalissimo. So when the Empress's troops had driven King Ashikuma's troops as far as Yamashiro, the latter turned and made a stand, and both sides fought together without retreating. Then his augustness take Furukuma planned, and caused it to be said that, as her augustness Akanagitarashi was already dead, there was no need for further fighting forthwith, snapping his bowstrings and feigning submission. Therefore King Ashikuma's generalissimo, believing the falsehood, unbent his bows and put away his arms. Then the Empress's troops picked out of their topknots some prepared bowstrings. One name of the bowstrings was USAUD-0, stretched their bows again, and pursued and smote the enemy. So these fled away to a Fusaka, rallied, and fought again. Then the Empress's troops pursued on, and defeated them, and cut to pieces that army at Sasanami. Thereupon King Ashikuma, together with the noble Asahi being pursued and pressed, got on board a vessel and floated on the sea, and sang, saying, "Come on, my lord. Rather than be stricken by Furukuma's hurtful hand, I will plunge like the grebe into the sea of Afumi, I will." Forthwith they plunged into the sea and died together. Kojiki, Section 101, Emperor CHIU-AI, Part VIII the heir apparent exchanges NAMES with the great deity IZASA-WAKE. So when his augustness, the noble Taisha, taking with him the heir apparent for the purpose of purification, passed through the lands of Afumi and Wakasa, he built a temporary palace at Tsunuga at the mouth of the road of Koshi for the heir apparent to dwell in. Then his augustness, the great deity IZASA-WAKE, who dwelt in that place, appeared at night in a dream and said, "I wish to exchange my name for the august name of the august child." Then the dreamer of the dream prayed, saying, "I am filled with awe. The name shall be respectfully exchanged according to thy command." Again the deity charged him, saying, "Tomorrow morning the heir apparent must go out on the beach. I will present my thank offering for the name given me in exchange." So when the heir apparent went out in the morning to the beach, the whole shore was lined with broken-nosed dolphin fishes. Thereupon the august child caused the deity to be addressed, saying, "Thou bestowest on me fish of thine august food." So again, his august name was by his being called the great deity of august food. So he is now styled the food wondrous great deity. Again, the blood from the noses of the dolphin fishes stank. So the strand was called by the name of Chihira. It is now styled Tsunuga. Kojiki, Section 102, Emperor CHIU-AI. Part VIII Empress JIN-GO presents liquor to the heir apparent. Hereupon, when the heir apparent returned up to the capital, his august parent, her augustness Princess Amaterasu, distilled some waiting liquor and presented it to him. Then his august parent sang augustly, saying, "This august liquor is not my august liquor, oh. It is august liquor respectfully brought as a divine congratulation, a repeated congratulation, a bountiful congratulation, a reiterated congratulation by the small august deity who dwells eternally, firmly standing. Partake not shallowly. Go on, go on." Having thus sung, she presented to him the great august liquor. Then his augustness, the noble Takuchi, replied for the august child and sang, saying, "Whatever person distilled this august liquor must surely have distilled it singing the while with that drum on the mortar must surely have distilled it dancing the while. For this august liquor, to be ever more and more joyful. Go on, go on. These are drinking songs." Kojiki, Section 103, Emperor CHIU-AI. Part IX his death and that of the Empress JIN-GO. Altogether, the august years of this heavenly sovereign, Terashi Nakatsuhiko, were 52. His august mausoleum is at Nage, near Wega, in Kafuchi. The Empress died at the august age of 100. She was buried in the mausoleum of Tatanami in Saki. Kojiki, Section 104, Emperor O-JIN, Part 1 Genealogies. His augustness Himyuda-wake dwelt at the palace of Akira at Karashima and ruled the empire. So the august children of her augustness Princess Takagi no Iri were his augustness Nakuta no Oho-Wakatsuhiko, next his augustness Oho Yamamori, next his augustness Izumo Mawaka, next his younger sister the Lady of Ohohara, next the Lady of Kamoku. 5 deities. The august children of her augustness Nakatsuhime were the Lady of Arata in Kai, next his augustness OHO-SAZAKI, next his augustness Natori. 3 deities. The august children of her augustness Odoheim were the Lady Abe, next the Lady of Mahara in Ahaji, next the Lady of Yunu in Kai, next the Lady of Minu, 5 deities. Again he wedded the Princess MIYA-NUSHI-YA-KAHA-YE, daughter of the grandee Wani no Hifyor, and begot august children, UJI-NO-WAKI-IRATSUKO, next his younger sister YAMATO-TAKE'S, next Queen Midori. 3. Again he wedded Wonabe no Iratsum, younger sister of Yakahi-Heim, and begot an august child, Yuji-no-Iratsum, 1 deity. Again he wedded Akanagama Wakanakatsuhima, daughter of King Kyuhimata Nagahiko, and begot an august child, King Wakanuk Fudamata, 1 deity. Again, he wedded the princess of Itowi, daughter of Shimatarini, ancestor of the agricultural chiefs of Sakurawi, and begot an august child. His augustness Hayabusa-Wake, one deity. Again, he wedded Nagaheim of Idzumi and Himyuka, and begot august children. King Ohohe, next King Wohei, next JIN-GO, three deities. Again, he wedded Princess Koguro, and begot august children. Kahare no Iratsum, next, Tama no Iratsum, next, Osaka no Oho-Nakatsuheim, next, Toho no Iratsum, next, King Kateji, five deities. Again, he wedded Nuiromi of Kazuraki, and begot an august child. King Izano-Mawaka, one deity. The august children of this heavenly sovereign numbered altogether 26, 11 kings and 15 queens. Of these, his augustness OHO-SAZAKI was he who afterwards ruled the empire. Kojiki, Section 105, Emperor O-JIN, Part II-DIVIDES, the inheritance between his three sons. Hereupon the heavenly sovereign asked his augustness Oho-Yamamori and his augustness Oho-SAZAKI, saying, "Which think ye the dearer, an elder child or a younger child?" The reason why the heavenly sovereign propounded this question was because it was his intention to make UJI-NO-WAKI-IRATSUKO rule the empire. Then the heavenly sovereign said, "My lord Sazaki's words agree with my thoughts," and forthwith ordained the division of the inheritance thus: his augustness Oho-Yamamori to administer the government of the mountains and the sea, 2a his augustness Oho-SAZAKI to take and deign to report on the government of the realm, and UJI-NO-WAKI-IRATSUKO to rule the succession of heaven's son. So his augustness Oho-SAZAKI was not disobedient to the heavenly sovereign's commands. Kojiki, Section 106, Emperor O-JIN, Part III-Chiwu's Princess MIYA-NUSHI-YA-KAHA-YE. She replied, saying, "I am the daughter of the grandee Wani no Hifur, and my name is Princess MIYA-NUSHI-YA-KAHA-YE." The heavenly sovereign forthwith said to the maiden, "When I return on my progress tomorrow, I will enter into thy house." So Princess Ya-KAHA-YE told her father all that had happened. Thereupon her father replied, saying, "It was the heavenly sovereign. His commands are to be respected. My child, respectfully serve him." And so saying, he grandly decorated the house and awaited the heavenly sovereign's return, whereupon he came in on the next day. So when the father served the heavenly sovereign a great august feast, he made his daughter, her augustness Princess Ya-KAHA, take the great august liquor cup and present it. Thereupon, while taking the great liquor cup, the heavenly sovereign augustly sang, saying, "O this crab, whence this crab? It is a crab from far distant Sunuga. Whither reaches its sideward motion? It has come towards Ikijishima and my Shima. It must be because, plunging and breathless like the grebe, I went without stopping along the up and down road by the wavelets, that the maiden I met on the Kohata road has a back O, like a small shield, a row of teeth like acorns. Oh, the earth of the Wani pass at Ikihiwi. Owing to the skin of the first earth being ruddy, to the last earth being of a reddish black, she, without exposing to the actual sun that makes one bend one's head the middle earth like three chestnuts, draws thickly down her drawn eyebrows. The women I met, the child I saw and wanted in this way, the child I saw and wanted in that way. Oh, she is opposite to me at the height of the feast. Oh, she is at my side. Ida August Koivit Kumala, et Procrivit Filium UJI-NO-WAKI-IRATSUKO." Kojiki, Section 107, Emperor O-JIN, Part IV. He grants Princess KEI-KO to his son OHO-SAZAKI. and make the latter grant to him Princess Kaminaga, whom he had sent down for. Then on the Prime Minister, the noble Taisha, requesting the great commands, the heavenly sovereign forthwith granted Princess Kaminaga to his august child. The way he granted her was this. The heavenly sovereign, on a day when he partook of a copious feast, gave Princess Kaminaga the great august liquor o'cleaf to present to the heir apparent. Then he augustly sang, saying, "Come on, children! Oh, the fragrant flowering orange tree on my way as I go to pluck the wild garlic to pluck the garlic has its uppermost branches withered by birds perching on them, and its lowest branches withered through people plucking from them. But the budding fruit on the middle branch, like 3 chestnuts the ruddy maiden, oh, if thou lead her off with thee, it will be good, oh." Again he augustly sang, saying, "Driving the dike piles into Lake Yasami where the water collects, my heart, ignorant of the pricking of the stumps of the water caltrop, ignorant of the creeping of the roots of the Bracenia peltata, being more and more laughable, is now indeed repentant." Having thus sung, he bestowed her on the heir apparent. So after having been granted the maiden, the heir apparent sang, saying, "Oh, the maiden of Kohata in the back of the road. Though I heard of her like the thunder, we mutually intertwine our arms as pillows." Again he sang, saying, "I think lovingly, of how the maiden of Kohata in the back of the road sleeps with me without disputing." Kojiki, Section 108, Emperor O-JIN, Part V. Songs of the Territorial Owners of YASHINU. This song is one which it is the custom to chant down to the present day, when, from time to time, the territorial owners present a great feast to the sovereign. Kojiki, Section 109, Emperor O-JIN, Part VI Various DEITYs. In this august reign were graciously established the Fisher tribe, the Mountain tribe, the Mountain Warden tribe, and the Issei tribe. Again the pool of Tsurugi was made. Again there came over to Japan some people from Shiragi. Therefore his augustness the noble Taisha, having taken them with him and set them to labor on pools and embankments, made the pool of Kudara. 5a. Kojiki, Section 110, Emperor O-JIN, Part VIII, Tribute from Korea. Again King Shoko, the chieftain of the land of Kudara, sent as tribute by a Chaikishi 1 stallion and 1 mare. This Chaikishi was the ancestor of the Achiki scribes. Again he sent as tribute a cross sword and likewise a large mirror. Again he was graciously bidden 5b to send as tribute a wise man, if there were any such in the land of Kudara. Therefore, receiving the imperial commands, he sent as tribute a man named Wanikishi, and likewise by this man he sent as tribute the Confucian Analects in 10 volumes, and the 1,000-character essay in 1 volume, altogether 11 volumes. This Wanikishi was the ancestor of the Fumi grandees. Again, he sent as tribute 2 artisans, a smith from Kara named Takuso, and a weaver from Go named Saiso. Kojiki, Section 111, Emperor NGIYO, Part IVHIS Age and Place of Burial. The heavenly sovereign's august years were 78. His august mausoleum is at Nagi near Wega in Kafuchi. 1a. Kojiki, Section 112, Emperor O-JIN, Part AX troubles which followed his decease. So after the decease of the heavenly sovereign, his augustness OHO-SAZAKI, in conformity with the heavenly sovereign's commands, ceded the empire to UJI-NO-WAKI-IRATSUKO. Thereupon his augustness Ohiyamamori, disobeying the heavenly sovereign's commands, and anxious in spite thereof to obtain the empire, had the design to slay the prince his younger brother, secretly raised an army and prepared to attack him. Then his augustness OHO-SAZAKI, hearing that his elder brother had prepared an army, forthwith dispatched a messenger to apprise UJI-NO-WAKI-IRATSUKO. So, startled at the news, the latter set troops in ambush by the riverbank, and likewise, after having drawn a fence of curtains and raised a tent on the top of the hill, placed there publicly on a throne one of his retainers to pretend that he was the king, the manner in which all the officials reverentially went and came being just like that usual in the king's presence. And moreover, preparing for the time when the king his elder brother should cross the river, he arranged and decorated a boat and oars, and moreover ground in a mortar the root of the Kadzura japonica, and having taken the slime of its juice, rubbed therewith the grating inside the boat, so as to make any who should tread on it fall down, and then himself put on a cloth coat and trousers, and having assumed the appearance of a common fellow, stood in the boat holding the oar. It has been reported to me that on this mountain there is a large and angry boar. I wish to take that boar. Shall I peradventure get that boar? Then the fellow holding the oar replied, saying, Thou canst not. Again he asked, saying, For what reason? The boatman answered, saying, He is not to be got, however often and in however many places he be chased. Wherefore I say that thou canst not catch him either. When they had crossed as far as the middle of the river, Prince Yuji-no-Waki-Iratsuko caused the boat to be tilted over, and his elder brother to fall into the water. Then forthwith he rose to the surface, and floated down with the current. Forthwith, as he floated, he sang, saying, Whoever is swiftest among the boatmen of the Uji ferry will come to me. Thereupon the troops that had been hidden on the river bank rose up simultaneously on this side and on that side, and fixing their arrows in their bows, let him go floating down. So he sank on reaching Kawara Point. So on their searching with hooks the place where he had sunk, the hooks struck on the armor inside his clothes and made a rattling sound. So the place was called by the name of Kawara Point. Then when they hooked up his bones, the younger king sang, saying, Catalpa Bo, Evanimous standing by the ferry bank of Uji. My heart had thought to cut you, my heart had thought to take you, but at the base me thought of the Lord, at the extremity me thought of the younger sister. Grievously me thought of this, sorrowfully me thought of that, and I came back without cutting at the Catalpa Bo, the Evanimous. So the bones of his augustness O-Ho-Yamamori were buried on the Nara mountain. His augustness O-Ho-Yamamori was the ancestor of the Dukes of Hijikata, the Dukes of Heki, and the Dukes of Harihara. Kojiki, Section 113, Emperor O-JIN, Part X. Princes OHO-SAZAKI and UJI-NO-WAKI-IRATSUKO cede the empire to each other. Thereupon, while the two deities, his augustness OHO-SAZAKI and Yuji-No-WAKI-IRATSUKO were, each of them, ceding the empire to the other, a fisherman came with a great feast as tribute. So they each resigned it to the other. So the elder brother refused it, and caused it to be offered to the younger brother, and the younger brother refused it, and caused it to be offered to the elder brother, during which mutual cedings many days elapsed. As such mutual ceding took place, not only once or twice, the fisherman wept from the fatigue of going backwards and forwards. So the proverb says, the fisherman weeps on account of his own things. 5a Meanwhile, Yuji-No-Waki-IRATSUKO died early. So his augustness, OHO-SAZAKI, did rule the empire. Kojiki, Section 114, Emperor O-JIN, Part XIA Ama-NO-HI-BOKO crosses over to Japan. Moreover, of old, there had been a man called by the name of AMA-NO-HI-BOKO, child of the ruler of the land of Shiragi. This person crossed over here to Japan. The reason of his crossing over here was this. In the land of Shiragi, there was a certain lagoon called by the name of the Agu Lagoon. On the bank of this lagoon, a certain poor girl was taking her midday sleep. Tunc solis radii, celesti arcui similes, in privatas parts impegerunt. Again, there was a certain poor man, who, thinking this occurrence 5b strange, constantly watched the woman's behavior. So the woman, having conceived from the time of that midday sleep, gave birth to a red jewel. Then the poor man who had watched her begged to be allowed to take the jewel, and kept it constantly wrapped up by his side. This person, having planted a rice field in a valley, had loaded a cow with food for the laborers, and was getting into the middle of the valley, when he met the ruler's son, AMA-NO-HI-BOKO, who thereupon asked him, saying, "Why enterest thou the valley with a load of food upon a cow? Thou wilt surely kill this cow and eat her." Forthwith he seized the man and was about to put him into prison, when the man replied, saying, "I was not going to kill the cow. I was simply taking food to the people in the fields." But still, the ruler's child would not let him go. Then he undid the jewel which hung at his side, and therewith bribed the ruler's child. So the latter let the poor man go, brought the jewel home, and placed it beside his couch. Forthwith it was transformed into a beautiful maiden, whom he straightway wedded, and made his chief wife. Then the maiden perpetually prepared all sorts of dainties, with which she constantly fed her husband. So the ruler's child grew proud in his heart, and reviled his wife. But the woman said, "I am not a woman who ought to be the wife of such as thou. I will go to the land of my ancestors." And forthwith she secretly embarked in a boat, and fled away across here to Japan, and landed at Naniha. This is the deity called Princess Akaru, who dwells in the shrine of Haim-Goso at Naniha. Thereupon AMA-NO-HI-BOKO, hearing of his wife's flight, forthwith pursued her across hither, and was about to arrive at Naniha, when the deity of the passage prevented his entrance. So he went back again, and landed in the country of Tajima. Kojiki, Section 115, Emperor O-JIN, part XI descendants of AMA-NO-HI-BOKO, and treasures brought BYHIM. Forthwith staying in that country, he wedded Sakitsumai, daughter of Tajima no Matawo, and begot a child, Tajima Morisuku. The latter's child was Tajima Haini. The latter's child was Tajima Hinaraki. The latter's children were Tajima Mori, next Tajima Hitaka, next Kiyohiko, 3 deities. This Kiyohiko wedded Tajima no Mahai, and begot children, Suga no Morowo, next his younger sister Sugakama Uridomi. These are the 8 great deities of Idzushi. Kojiki, Section 116, Emperor O-JIN, part XII-THE Youth of THE Glow NTHE Autumn Mountains, and the Youth of THE Hazo NTHE Spring Mountains. So this deity had a daughter, whose name was the deity Maiden of Idzushi. So 80 deities wished to obtain this Maiden of Idzushi in marriage, but none of them could do so. Hereupon there were 2 deities, brothers, of whom the elder was called the Youth of the Glow on the Autumn Mountains, and the younger was named the Youth of the Haze on the Spring Mountains. So the elder brother said to the younger brother, "Though I beg for the Maiden of Idzushi, I cannot obtain her in marriage. Wilt thou be able to obtain her?" He answered, saying, "I will easily obtain her." Then the elder brother said, If thou shalt obtain this maiden, I will take off my upper and lower garments, and distill liquor in a jar of my own height, and prepare all the things of the mountains and of the rivers, and give them to thee in payment of the wager." Then the younger brother told his mother everything that the elder brother had said. Forthwith the mother, having taken wisteria fiber, wove and sewed in the space of a single night an upper garment and trousers, and also socks and boots, and likewise made a bow and arrows, and clothed him in this upper garment, trousers, etc. Made him take the bow and arrows, and sent him to the maiden's house, where both his apparel and the bow and arrows all turned into wisteria blossoms. Thereupon, the youth of the haze on the spring mountains hung up the bow and arrows in the maiden's privy. Then, when the maiden of Idzushi, thinking the blossoms strange, brought them home, the youth of the haze on the spring mountains followed behind the maiden into the house, and forthwith wedded her. So she gave birth to a child. Then he spoke to his elder brother, saying, "I have obtained the maiden of Idzushi." Thereupon the elder brother, vexed that the younger brother should have wedded her, did not pay the things he had wagered. Forthwith, in her anger with her elder child, she took a jointed bamboo from an island in the river Idzushi, and made a coarse basket with 8 holes, and took stones from the river, and mixing them with brine, wrapped them in the leaves of the bamboo, and caused this curse to be spoken. "Like unto the becoming green of these bamboo leaves, do thou become green and wither. Again, like unto the flowing and ebbing of this brine do thou flow and ebb. Again, like unto the sinking of these stones, do thou sink and be prostrate." Having caused this curse to be spoken, she placed the basket over the smoke. Therefore the elder brother dried up, withered, sickened, and lay prostrate for the space of 8 years. So, on the elder brother entreating his august parent with lamentations and fears, she forthwith caused the curse to be reversed. Thereupon his body became sound as it had been before. This is the origin of the term, a divine wager payment. Kojiki, Section 117, Emperor O-JIN, Part XVI Genealogies. So King Oho-Hodo was the ancestor of the Dukes of Mikuni, the Dukes of Hada, the Dukes of Okinaga, the Dukes of Sakahito of Sakata, the Dukes of Yamaji, the Dukes of Meta in Tsukushi, and the Dukes of Fuse. Again, King Nettori wedded his younger half-sister, the Lady Mahara, and begot children, King Nakatsuhiko, next King Iwashiha, 2 kings. Again, the child of King Kadashiha was King Kuni. Kojiki, Section 118, Emperor O-JIN, Part XV his age and place of burial. The august years of this heavenly sovereign Hamuda were altogether 130. His august mausoleum is on the mound of Mafusu at Wega in Kafuchi. Kojiki, Section 119, Emperor Ninigi, Part I Genealogies. His augustness, OHO-SAZAKI, dwelt in the palace of Takatsu at Naniha and ruled the empire. Again, he wedded Princess Kaminaga, daughter of the Duke of Muragata in Himuka, as mentioned above, and begot august children, Hatabi-no-Ohiratsuko, another name for whom was the king of Great Kusaka, next Hatabi-no-Waki-Iratsum, another name for whom was her augustness Princess Nagahi, and another name was her augustness Wakakusaka-bi, 2 deities. Again, he wedded his younger half-sister Yato-no-Waki-Iratsum. Again, he wedded his younger half-sister Yuji-no-Waki-Iratsum. These 2 deities had no august children. Altogether, the august children of this heavenly sovereign OHO-SAZAKI numbered in all 6 deities, 5 kings and 1 queen. So his augustness IZASA-WAKE was he who afterwards ruled the empire. Next, his augustness Tajihino Midzuha-WAKE likewise ruled the empire. Next, his augustness, the noble Izumo-no-Wakugo, likewise ruled the empire. Kojiki, Section 120, Emperor and Nintoku, Part I, Various DEDS. In the august reign of this heavenly sovereign, the Katsuraki tribe was established as the august proxy of the Empress, her augustness I-No-HI-BOKO. Again, the Mibu tribe was established as the august proxy of the heir apparent, his augustness IZASA-WAKE. Again, the Tajihi tribe was established as the august proxy of his augustness Mizuno-WAKE. Again, the OHO-SAZAKI tribe was established as the august proxy of King OHO-SAZAKI, and the Waka-SAZAKI tribe was established as the august proxy of King Wagaku-Sake-B. Again, people from Hada were set to labor, and the embankment at Mamuda and also the granaries of Manuda were made. Again, the pool of Wani and the pool of Yosemi were made. Again, the Naniha Channel was dug, and the waters of the rivers led to the sea. Again, the Wobashi Channel was dug. Again, the port of the inlet of Sumi was established.